right, let's go right out to Commander's Park and listen to Dan Quinn as he talks to the media.
See some of the mentoring from veterans to some rookies. I'm also looking forward to seeing some of the rookies latch on to some. I think that's a two-way street. But all in all, it's a big passing emphasis as we go today. But we'll work some situations, and we're ready to get rocking. So with all that said, glad to open up to you guys to hit some questions as we're getting started.
Hey, Dan, in terms of, obviously, we kind of get the gist of OTAs, but for the team as a whole, what's your kind of goal when you get through these 3 weeks for what you want to see, what kind of progress?
Yeah, and I think number one, big playbook, obviously, to put in, and then little bits of it as you're going. And so, like, did some at veteran camp, did some with the rookies. And so this is an extension of that. In addition to, I don't think it's ever too early, Ben, to start on some situations. Here's a 2-minute at the half. Here's all the ones that come up. So we'll do that as often as we can. By nature, the OTA is more of a passing camp, and that's where the emphasis will be. And then in training camp, there'll be some shifting on that. But I'm looking for efficiency, I'm looking for speed, and really just the detail that's going into the calls.
And just specifically at wide receiver, I think we kind of have a sense of what Terry McLaurin is, but with the younger guys like Jahan and Diami, now Luke joining in, how do you kind of see that group? And what did you, with the two guys who were holdovers, what did you see from them last year?
Yeah, what's fun about this is we want to get as many reps as we can. So you may even see it 7-on-7 today. We'll have 2 fields going at the same time. And the purpose behind that in a 7-on-7 setting is to get more reps for everyone. And the more you see, the more that you go. And I think as you're installing a new system, that's an important piece of this, just time on task and reps of it. So, but you're right, guys like Terry, who you've seen, and the work ethic, what it is. So these are some cool moments to see what people can do. And then it's our job to find what special traits do they have and then see how we can feature them.
And then you brought up some of the veterans and being the rookies. When you have guys like Ertz and Eckler and all that, what do you hope that they start to impart to the young guys starting now?
Yeah, I think first off is like, these are the standards, that we want to, practice with. And so that was a discussion that they had all together beginning yesterday, and some things, this is how we do business here. But if you don't have to look too far to watch their practice habits, how they do things, follow a process or a routine, that's what I'm looking for from those guys. They have to get their self ready, but by just doing what they do, that also, can be a multiplier.
And how about now from Jaden being with the vets and coming off the rookie minicamp?
Yeah, I think number one, like, you can see how hard he worked to get the system down and in place. And so that was evident through the camp. And so I'm excited for everybody else to see that, to see the work ethic that goes into something like this. Because once you see the quarterback play in the position and the plays, see that kind of detail that he put in a short amount of time, I think it'll be pretty obvious for the guys watching.
You've been through this before. When rookies now go with the vets, what do you see from the rookies? Is it a wide-eyed look? What goes on?
Yeah, because I think we've all heard the term, like, be a pro. Well, like, they don't even know that yet. And so, like, that's our job to help educate them on all the small details that it goes. I think at the end, man, what are you looking for? Like, competing, of really playing fast. And so I was clear to them to say, you're not sure if you're not going fast. Are you slow or you don't know? And I said, like, that's okay. I'd rather you go full speed to make some mistakes. And we had a good visit yesterday with some of the rookies. Questions help, and I showed him an old clip of Brett Favre, and he was talking to a group, and Holmgren was up there, and he was talking about nickel defense. They went to dime, and he was like asking Todd Detmer, like, "What's nickel?" And Todd was like, "You don't know?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "That's just to take a linebacker off to put another DB in." He goes, "That's it." And so, as simple as it is, when you're coming from somewhere new as a rookie, my push for them was ask the questions. We got a whole army of people here to help them and get there. And so over these weeks ahead, this is their developmental time, and we're not going to miss a step of it.
And for you personally, this is you're back as the HC. These months, these weeks, how's it affected the way you do your job? I mean, how much are you enjoying this process again?
I'm having a blast. And that's why, like, days like today, like a first of bringing everybody together, like, I have real appreciation for it. And it doesn't take long to be around some of the people here to say, man, I'm proud as hell to be their coach just by what I've seen so far. And so that's what I'm looking forward to as we're getting started today.
What's the process of installing the offense, and how much can you accomplish, each day?
I think it's a more of a passing emphasis. So what we do is we do some runs and some blitzes, at a jog through pace, so we can get as much of that as we can, knowing that a lot of the out, on the field portion is going to be pass emphasis. So we kind of split it into 2 ways, and then systematically put it all the way through 9 OTAs, through 3 practice at minicamp. So we just want to make sure we're hitting the right amount at the right time, but a lot of situations to cover so far.
And how does that work with Jaden in terms of, he said, like, does he say, I'm ready for this, or this is too much, or how do you kind of go about figuring out what he's comfortable with and at what pace?
Can you repeat the last piece of it?
Yeah, like how do you figure out, how to get him where you guys need him to go?
Right on. Well, I think reps, that's where the main thing is. How do we have reps for this? And so if we know that we need extra reps, that's what we do. And so that's part of why we have 2 spot drills where we get extra people to do that.
What intrigued you about Frankie Luvu when you signed him, and how do you kind of see him fitting into the defense?
The question was regarding Frankie, and I thought first things first, I saw, man, like really aggressive play. This was a fantastic blitzer and hitter, and we really wanted to make sure like our identity was a real part of that. And so Frankie represented that. We saw it on the tape. We saw how physical he was, the tackling, the blitzing, and so it was very clear to say how he would fit into what we do.
Dan, these OTAs are voluntary for the veterans, but basically everybody's here. What does that show you about the buy-in and the commitment already from the vets?
Yeah, I think it shows how important it is. They know they're starting, a new program together, new offense, new defense, new special. So no one wants to be behind, and have anything that would, leave them any space as we're competing going forward. So I'm not surprised that knowing this group as I do, their connection, their chemistry together, that's a big part of it too.
Certainly for the players, it's an adjustment to get used to you, to get used to the coaching staff, but it's also an adjustment for the coaching staff to get used to the players. How's that all meshing?
I think the term you'll hear me say is they're trying to learn the learners. And so what way does this person learn compared to what place this person does? And not everybody does it in the same space. Not everybody does it in the same exact way. So there's some fantastic teachers that are over here on the grass. Who needs more walkthrough? Who needs more video? Who needs more one-on-one? When you're learning that, now you can customize it, and that's what we're going to
do. Dan, over the weekend, you wore a T-shirt to your availability that garnered some attention. I wonder if you could walk through what that was.
Sure, no sweat at all. And I think one of the parts of me, taking this job, I was excited to bridge, the past and the present, and what a cool, privilege that is to do. And I also recognized there's a lot of layers to that. So it was a great lesson for me. And what I really hate is that any attention that would have been taken away from these rookies and like this awesome crew. So, no one wants to do that, but great lesson.
Any feedback with the shirt from, I heard a lot of former players really liked that you wore the shirt. Did you get any feedback from folks?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. That's Dan Quinn talking to the media. I knew that question was going to come up. I'm happy he addressed it the way he did, because why discuss anything that any former player said or a current player or anything else? I think ultimately he wore a T-shirt, and that's all he did. And the T-shirt probably won't be worn again. The man probably won't. So what you did just now by asking all the questions, you kind of stopped some of these fan T-shirt things that they started up from getting extra looks, because people wanted to make it into such a damn ordeal when it wasn't. And now those same people probably won't get that same stuff again. I just think sometimes we have to understand this team is moving forward. It's not moving backwards. And there are a lot of people out there, you can think what you wish. It ain't happening anymore. And you probably know it's not. But there are also a lot of people who don't even care about this damn football team. But they are the ones that's really starting a lot of the talk up, to get the hype, get everything going, because they don't want you to look forward. That could be something very, very good staring you in the eyes. I watched this coaching staff move. I've had conversations with certain guys. I watched these players move. Things seem to be different. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that nobody is a Hall of Famer, and I'm not telling you all that crazy kind of stuff. I know that there's a different level of an approach that I'd like to see. I know that the guys are putting the work in to try to get where they need to be. And ultimately, when you have the majority of folks doing that, you end up getting what you want. A T-shirt should not garner that much attention. A T-shirt shouldn't have people that claim that they're fans of a team having this great argument back and forth. Some of you out there, you already know that the T-shirt was nothing. It ain't going back to no names and this, that, and the other, but you are arguing with them anyway. Why argue back and forth with someone when you know what something is? When you open your mouth and you're arguing with fools, guess who they think? They don't. People start listening. They don't know who's the fool and who's not. So I think ultimately we have to get smarter in this thing. The people that are real fans of this franchise, of this football team, when you see things happening to benefit this team, discuss it. When you see people trying to use things to try to separate this team, ignore them. Listen, people are going to be pissed at you. They're going to be mad at you. Who cares? You know, I don't care if you get mad at me, because ultimately, when I know something, I'm not going to argue with you about what I know. When I know something's not going to happen the way you said it, I'm not going to have an argument or a discussion with you about it. Because then I'll be wasting my time looking more like a damn fool than what you are. So at this point, what the focus should be, how much is being done to bridge the gap of those rookies who are now practicing with the veterans? How much is being done to bring a cohesive group together where everybody understands on the same wavelength? How much is being done to make sure that this team is going to be peaking when it's time? I don't think T-shirts have anything to do with that. I don't think a name has anything to do with that. I think the effort, the leadership qualities, and those who are leaders, I don't care if you're a rookie, I don't care if you're a 12-year, 14-year guy, 5, 6-year guy. If you are a leader, be that. Because leaders don't have to be told to lead. They lead naturally. Leaders don't have to be ones out there say, hey, man, you know what? You can lead now. If someone is telling you you can lead now, guess who the real leader is? He is, not you. So ultimately, fans, stop wasting your time with some of the fools out there. There are a lot of fools out there. And I hope players are not listening to none of this crap. Because all they got to do is play ball. You know, most players don't know half of the stuff that goes on outside because they are all focusing on becoming the best they can possibly be. And if they just keep focusing that way and moving forward, I think great things are about to happen. And I can't believe we take hours upon hours upon hours and discuss a damn T-shirt. It's kind of sound like Allen Iverson said, we're talking about practice. You know, we're not talking about the things that are vitally important. We're talking about things that have no importance whatsoever. And we're making it to big stories. And we do it too much around here. You back, Jay?
Yeah, I'm back. I also think that wasn't just around here. That got co-opted into like a political thing, and Pro Football Talk goes crazy with it. But, you know,
that's what I'm saying. But we got to stop worrying about what See, this is my thing. You all put a lot of emphasis on Pro Football Talk, Pro Football Reference. I don't give a damn about them. They're not here. They don't know half the stuff that goes on.
But I thought it was fair that Quinn kind of owned that he was trying to bridge a gap or something, right? Like, he was relatively vague, but I think he took some ownership in kicking a hornet's nest when it didn't need to be. And I think, honestly, that's a lesson. He said that's a good lesson for me. I feel like in 4 years, Ron kind of still never saw that when he continuously misspoke. And it was never something like this, which becomes something else entirely. But, like, I don't know. You know, I thought his answer was honestly pretty fair. It was like, yeah, dude, I thought I was just wearing a cool T-shirt that some folks would like, but it was something else entirely, and it's a good lesson.
Yep. I think ultimately, the question you asked him, like, any feedback, he didn't have to share that. He didn't share it, which is even better.
Yeah,
when he shares that, then all of a sudden, you know, that now people have former players who might have said or think, and now that becomes a whole new thing. You know what I mean? So to roll this thing like a attorney-client privilege, that's all the people need to know, the people that talked about it.
Brian, let me ask you, do you think there was any feedback to the T-shirt?
From who?
Anybody. I didn't say specific. I just said any feedback.
I think it was probably not necessarily feedback, but like just in this town, if you do something like that, you're gonna probably have to deal with extra crap.
Well, I've said repeatedly that I think, you know, people talk about the DC media. I don't think it's particularly critical, but I do think that it has like political leans more than any other areas.
They're political leans, but we also have some people in our media that's what they want to play. They want to play all of those little tidbit things like that. They rather play that than just let's ask a question about some stuff that really is important.
I'll be honest, the setup right now, and I understand there's all this construction going on, it just sucks because you can't really like stand there and talk to them because all the cameras are in front of them, and then everybody's off to the periphery. And Dan Quinn's been very clear he doesn't like people to his sides, which I understand, but then there's like kind of nowhere to go, and there are people certainly angling for exposure and whatever. Like, think about this is now since the draft, probably the third time he's talked, right? Something like at least the second. And he's a defensive coordinator. Like, he's a defensive guy. We continue, like, he's getting asked about a rookie quarterback, understandably, and now this stuff. Like, I wanted to ask him about John Allen, Deron Payne are supposed to be anchors for you. How do those guys fit in? Like, there are actual football conversations you'd like to have that you just don't get the opportunity. And it's personally kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I think, but he's the head coach.
And
he has to answer everything. He's a head coach. I understand he's
a
defensive guy, but he's a head coach.
Then it's just going to be questions about Jaden until September.
And they may be, but I'm saying, but the thing about it is this. If you want to ask about the defensive side, the moment you get your chance or anybody else, ask about the defensive side. You can take it away, but I think what people do, just like the NFL draft, when one position start being drafted, everybody start drafting that position. If I want to know about the defense, when they ask about Jaden, I'm going to the defense over and over again.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you he would be even happier about that.
I know. Unless we have an ad read, let's go to break before I get frustrated on air. And I'm going to walk down to practice at 1:00, and we will be able to watch what's going on. I think we'll get some 7-on-7. One thing that was interesting, B, he said he wants to run concurrent 7-on-7 to maximize reps. I guess you can do it because you have a 90-man roster. That's a lot of bodies flying around.
But you got them on. You can have both of them on the same field going.
They got multiple fields.
Yeah, but they have multiple fields. They can do that. But if you get to the 50-yard line or the 40 on each 40, and you going out towards the goal line, you can do it that way too. But that does allow more people to get more reps.
Yeah, and I think because the CBA, the agreement with the union and the teams, like their time is really limited and can only be allotted certain ways. And I think that is kind of telling with, I mean, dude, their practice, I think, is only an hour and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what they're allotting to specific practice time, but they get to spend like the whole day here. So they have these guys in the classroom and stuff. It's interesting. It's definitely a new day in Ashburn. I think DQ handled T-shirt gate pretty darn well, even if it was kind of his own